Silre provides a complete learning journey outside of school. As a part of Silre, I am happy to have you here for our next webinar in the Education is Changing webinar series. This series brings together exceptional educators, researchers, and enthusiasts and empowers synergetic collaborations to increase the reach, impact, and implementation of creative breakthrough ideas. Today, we have Siddharth Mathai here to talk to us on why every student should have a mentor. Siddharth Mathai is the CEO and head of technology at QFUS. QFUS is a cloud-based on-demand mentorship platform that helps individuals connect with industry experts and leaders who will guide them personally and professionally. He believes that in India, mentorship is not tapped onto much, and his goal is to make mentorship accessible to all the individuals who seek it. His extensive involves his expertise involved in leadership, mentoring, business development, and entrepreneurship. He is also a startup enthusiast and help individuals reach their goals through mentorship. So feel free to drop questions on the topic and share your struggles and experiences with us. We'll also answer all your questions at the end, and the recording of this session also will be sent to your email ID. So I hope everyone would have an engaging and an enriching session today. Over to you, sir. Siddharth, sir, please continue.
Thank you so much, Pranav, for that powerful introduction. Thank you everyone, joining this Saturday evening. I hope most of you would have preferred sleeping. I just hope that I don't drive you towards that. So I want to start by thanking the Silre team for giving me this opportunity, and also apologizing them upfront because over this week we had a series of webinar that was done by QFUS mentors, and the standard was just rising and rising. And by the end of this week, I'm here to just shatter those expectations and lower the standard. So just apologizing upfront. Just to set up the context, I see a lot of familiar faces here. I'll be awaiting for a creative criticism at the end. So just to set up the context, like Pranav gave us an introduction, I'm one of the founders of the platform called QFUS. Let me just share my screen. Okay, I seem to have an issue with my browser. Anyway, I'm one of the founders of this platform called QFUS, which, like Pranav said, it's a mentorship platform. My role entails being in charge of the product and partnerships that are part of QFUS. And my background is like I worked in IT for almost 3 to 4 years before I started this journey, now what is called as QFUS. So that's about us. So I hope you guys can see my screen.
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Great. So at QFUS, there are two things that we majorly do. One is we have a platform where there are mentors, and anyone who wants to talk to the mentors can sign up, and we facilitate the entire process before, during, and after the session, and it works completely on a one-on-one mentorship model. That's one part of what we do. The other part of what we do is what you're seeing today. Like we partner or collaborate with different entities like edtechs, startup accelerators, organizations. We're also working with the government of India. And as part of these partnerships or organizations, our mentors are part of the programs that are run by these entities. So this is what QFUS basically is. And something about me you can read on the screen, which was formulated by our digital marketing head. So he's put very big words into it, and yes, I do believe in most of them. So this is about me. So starting this talk for today, I if I don't know if you sensed it, but I'm a bit nervous, so I will try to make this as interactive as possible. So before I start the topic, I just wanted to ask two questions basically. The first one, I hope is that I'm hoping that all of you have heard of mentoring and mentorship before. So is there anyone who's not heard of this before? All right, great. I guess not. So my second question was follow up to that. What do you guys feel like, according to you, what is mentoring or what is mentorship? When you hear that word, what comes to your mind? All right, tough crowd.
uh, a more experienced person giving some fundamentals, advice on fundamentals to the less experienced. Would that be mentoring?
Yes, in a way. Thank you, Gauri, for helping me out. But yeah, she
If
got it
we have the
almost.
cameras on, I think I think you would like to talk to people who have show their faces, right? Can we have the cameras on, please? What do you think?
It's very easier to, tell kids to turn their cameras on. Adults, it's bang opposite on that. So yeah, if people are turning their cameras on, it would be really helpful. So yeah, and if you could answer my question. So Gauri got it almost correct. Uh, all right. So I'll get to that. I'll answer this question. So by answering this question, I would like to touch upon a bit of our journey into QFIS, which can maybe provide a context and understanding of the answer that I'm getting to. So when we started this journey of what QFIS is, so one of our first mentors that helped us move on to this journey. So he was a founder of a startup which is now a unicorn. So when we approached him with what our initial idea was, he said like, this is you guys are focusing on what mentoring is, go and research upon that. And that's how we started. We heard this word mentorship. And then my co-founder Rohan, who is from Dublin, who did his masters in Dublin, so he was a bit aware of this concept, and so we started vaguely from there, and we did our research. So you have to look back at before the lockdown and before pandemic hit. Okay, so the resources available was very less. Zoom was not what it is today. Okay, so when we did our initial sessions in Zoom, we literally had to convince people that it's safe and you know it's good. So during those days, we did our research and we approached a lot of people. We spoke around. We approached a lot of mentors, industry mentors, entrepreneurs, startup mentors. And what we understood from what our conclusion was that there is no set definition for what mentoring or mentorship is. It basically depends on the context of where it is applied and the entities that are involved. Okay. And the second thing, when you look at what is mentoring and you apply it in our country. So in India, the major issue is that we are tuned, or our mind is trained in a way that whenever we hear something which is remotely near to education or learning, our mind goes to coaching. Like we are inclined to think about coaching. That's what we have been. Our mind has been trained, and to think. So coaching also, you can't blame. You see a lot of ads and you see a lot of things coming from it, and coaching guarantees an assurance, right? You see these ads, like even Byju's is the sponsor of the Indian national cricket team. So what they say is, come join, you get this, you get that. It's a guarantee of certain things, but that's not at all what mentoring is. So coming to the answer of this question, what we felt and what we have defined our journey of mentoring is like, it's a summary of all our experience and our research. Mentoring is basically, in a way, what Gauri pointed out. It's a conversation. It's between two entities. So there is a mentee and there is a mentor. And through these conversations, there is an exchange of knowledge, experience, and insights that happen. So that's what mentoring. It's a mutual exchange. Like there's no one way thing. It's like both the mentee and the mentor, or mentees also in certain case, when they come out of the mentorship conversation, they come out with more than what they came in with. So that's what mentoring is. So to put it out in a proper, definition, what we have put it is like we believe that the most impactful way to gain insights, gather knowledge, and learn leadership or management is with experience sharing. Sharing a story can inspire the person who listens and help them find a solution while adapting to their personal needs. That is what mentoring is. Cool. So now that we established like what mentoring is, that it is basically a conversation where you know exchange of things happen. So what is like the end goal of it? What do you like? I already established that there is no set outcome or a set result because it's different from coaching. So then, what is the purpose of mentoring? How we defined it is like when we started our journey is for us the purpose of mentoring is to impact one person. We will start by impacting one person, and that's how we started. The first person we impacted, what we saw is that person went and impacted another person. So that's how we saw purpose of mentoring as, and that's how we define our journey. I mean, to a general point of view, it is basically helping the individual grow. Like I said, you come out with more than what you came in with. And how do you do that? You draw the knowledge and experience from someone who has walked in your shoes before. And like I said, it's an exchange, it's a two-way thing. It's not a one-way flow, it's a two-way thing. And this is what the purpose of mentoring is. It's not like, again, I'm repeating the fact, it's not like you solve a problem there and then, but rather you equip or provide the mentee with enough tools or skills so that they can go and solve their problem on their own. I'm going to take a small example of, someone when they explained mentoring to us, they had stated this example. Like, let's say someone is, learning to ride a bicycle. Okay. What a mentor will do is they will come. So there's a kid, let's imagine it in a kid's perspective, because that's what the topic for today is. They will tell them everything about the cycle. Like, this is it, this is how you apply a gear, this is how you apply a brake. So that's sharing, the knowledge, right? The gear, the brake, the stand, the friction, and all that. So sharing the experience will be, got to apply the brake here. When you turn right, you got to move towards the middle of the road, show your hand and all that. That's sharing the experience. Sharing the mistakes is like, when I when I went over the mud, I put the brake and I skidded and all that. And then the final part of it is the mentor will push the mentee. Push the cycle. Sorry, not push the mentee. Push the cycle, and then they go out and they learn. They fall, they get up, they do the same thing. So the mentor has equipped them with everything from their, from their own experience and everything, and they put it out there. And that's how the mentee will go and learn to ride the bicycle. So this is the purpose of mentoring. Any again, like I'm trying to make it interactive. So do you guys agree with this, or maybe you have a different take on mentorship or mentoring?
So you mean to say you will just give kind of instructions and there to support on the side, something like that? And
Yes. Yeah. Like, giving them everything that they need to solve the problem. Like I said, everyone is unique. So even the problem to a person can be unique. So what a mentor can do is make sure that they have the things with them, like in front of the table, which they can pick up and apply it to their particular problem. So that's our take on what mentoring and the purpose of it is. All right. Anyone else, like, do you disagree with what I said? I'm open for that. Awesome. Uh, Either I'm nailing it or I'm just it's bounces. So anyway, coming to the the main agenda of the session today. Sorry, yeah. Why mentorship is important for kids? Okay, so like I was just when Gauri was pointing out that everyone should open their cameras. So that's the same thing that we have learned, okay, during our tenure. So it's been almost more than 3 years since we started QFIS. So what we have learned is the higher you go up the age bracket, the harder it is to convince that individual. So if you take my life, the most difficult person to convince right now will be my father, is my father, not will be. So that actually, if you look at that fact, that is basically, the fundamental reason on why mentorship is important for kids. Because one of the best experiences of mentoring that we have had is working with college students and kids so far in our journey. Though we started on a different note, like being for professionals, but the more impact we saw was that there. And that's why, like, I feel that it's very important, because you need to open up your mind to learn and accept it. And I believe that kids, especially in this day and age, they're willing, and they're accepting that there are things that they don't know and they are willing to learn. So I read this, while I was researching, and I read this by a mentor who had mentored a lot of kids, and he had summarized this in a beautiful way. He said, like, mentorship for kids, the aspect of mentors offering an ear, believing in them, recognizing and celebrating their success is enough to encourage them to speak their minds. That is the main thing that I feel that that as a parent, as a teacher, as an adult, we lack. We don't let the kids speak their minds, and also listen in case if they are speaking. So that is where the mentor comes in the picture. And how they impact, like, I've broken it down into a couple of points that I feel are relevant. So how they impact the children by listening and helping them to speak their minds is what I put across here. So one thing, like, when you look at a child, when you talk about kids, we often address them as students, because they are studying, right, most of them. So, and when you look back today, when most of us are adults, I believe. So when you look back today, studying was an awesome experience. As an experience, we enjoyed. We have fond memories of that. But when you go to down to that age, it is a very challenging experience, right? You know, for so everyone's experience is different. So for the creamy layer, for toppers, it's different. For people who are having who are in the middle, it's different. People at the bottom, it's even more different. So everyone's experience is different at that age, and that is where mentor can come in. So the knowledge or the studying part, to make it more, how to say, more interesting, is where the mentors can come in. So one of the things that they can do is a mentor can help the kids understand how the concepts that they learn in classroom will translate to a particular career or workplace. And they can, so that's what they bring in, that broader perspective, because a broader perspective is always required to see the bigger picture. And that is exactly the forte of a mentor, like, because they have that experience where they've seen this being applied and being used. And when they relate that to a kid, a child, it can really help them understand the purpose of that, and translate that into the learning that they do. And what a mentor does is they closely follow with students, and they provide a personal support, like, so every kid is unique, like I'm emphasizing on that, I'll stop emphasizing on that. So every kid is unique. So when they have these conversations, they know that there's a personal approach that they have to take in place, and they provide that support. And this will help them make sense of the future. And that's how the learning, they can make the learning easy and that process easy. The process is the issue. Like, you have the curriculum, you have everything, but the process of learning is where a mentor can provide that support. So that's one of the fundamental, one of the important reasons. The other one is like, let's say, the mentor has made the learning fun, and he or she has done their part. Now, when they start interacting with the kids, some of the things that they can do is two things. Like, in this point, I would like to highlight. They can help identifying the gaps, or identifying the interest or a talent that a teacher can miss. Don't get me wrong. I have a huge respect for teachers. Like, I have teachers in my family. I understand teaching can be a very taxing job, especially with a lot of added responsibilities, and the lockdown and everything has added a lot of scrutiny into their workings and their delivering. So it's already a very demanding job, and especially on top of that, they get 30 to 40 minutes to deliver the curriculum. So, in a bunch of students in a class, it can be a challenging role to even identify gaps of someone in person, or maybe nitpick on their talents or specific interests. That's where a mentor can come in, right? So mentors, again, through their experience, they might see or spot something where they feel that this is what is stopping the kid from accomplishing their goals or moving on to the next step. So, like, I've been a backbencher all my life, and I'm an average person, like average in studies and everything. So when I can mentor a kid, I can identify that, okay, this child is experiencing the same challenge that I experienced. But then, like, look at what I've done today, and if I can relate a story, or tell them, like, this has been my journey, and through the learning, this is what has happened. So maybe I can identify that gap, and not only solve it on my own, I can relate it to the teacher and the parent, and they can also be a part of the solving process. So that is where a mentor comes in place, with their experience and their mistakes that they have done. So I didn't study during my school. That is a huge mistake. I'm not completely aligned with our education system. It has certain advantages, but but learning, and at least maybe not performing much in the exam, but at least the learning on certain things that were my interest would have helped me in the longer run. So this is something that I can tell the kid. Just a small example I'm touching upon. So, so they can identify the gap. The second thing, like I was saying, is a mentor can spot a talent or a keen interest that others can easily overlook. With, like I'm trying to cover, there are so many things happening around the child these days. So it is very easy to overlook something. That's when a mentor, when they talk, when they have these conversations, they can spot. Maybe it is something like a creative writing, an art, let's say singing, to give a few examples. And they can spot this, and they can discuss this more freely with a mentor than a teacher, a subject teacher, right? So the mentor, when they will know what questions to ask, so that they can develop on this interest, or identify maybe the sub parts of that interest, and they will be able to point the child in the right direction, the right resources, and also give them the relevant and informed feedback, which is a big thing. So they can provide that personal support to make smart decisions when it comes to the student's future, by identifying these two main things. Okay. So so let's say they have, they have set up a process where the knowledge intake is easy, and they've identified maybe the gaps, if there are any, and also help them with developing, help them with identifying the interest and start developing that. Now let's say there is an interest, that the mentor has picked up, or there is something which the mentor is mentoring the child, and he or she is not an expert or does not have an experience. So this is where the network comes in. So what we have to understand is mentor, when they come to the picture, it's not like they're coming on their own. So they have this, like, of course, the abundance of knowledge, experience, and all that. Apart from that, so mentors are often like established, well known and respected in their field. So through the years of experience, mentors might have accumulated a lot of, a network of connections, and they can help students connect with these connections. So there might be a particular skill or a particular domain that, that can help the child with an application or with an hobby or with an interest. So they can connect them with those professionals. They're trying to, do some, innovate something on their own, which should be hugely encouraged. So in that part, they can connect to an academician who's part of their network, who can help with that research. Like, let's say, you go up the student chart, like they are in their 10th or 12th, and they are looking to hone they've started developing their skills. Okay, now to sharpen it, hone it, mentors can, bring in, like, through their network, some internship opportunities where they can go and apply those, start applying those, and go to the next part of development of a skill. So these are possible through the connections of what a mentor brings on the table. So let's say, like, just to give an example of that, let's say a child wants to, showcase something on like a building or on an architecture basis, and they have been drawing on paper for a long time. So a mentor can say, okay, let's move on to the next step, and let's do a kind of like a modeling of this, right? And there, a mentor who's from the 3D modeling can assist this mentor in, application of that. Let's say these are the tools that are easy to use, that are free to use. Why don't you start by this step, break it down, and all that. So this is possible when the mentor has that because the mentor has that network of connections, right? So these are the things that we have done. So a mentor does so. Again, recapping, easing the process of learning, identifying the gaps, identifying the interest, bringing on table a plethora of things where, the kid can apply it and get access to. So let's say the child has started, learning and, adapting to this, applying this. So if you remember, I can relate to this, that when we start, it still applies to this age as well. When you start learning new things, there is, like, self-doubt, and, and maybe a bit of insecurity can creep. And it does to me. I don't know, maybe to others it might not. But at that young age, when they are learning new things, when they are exposed to new things, definitely, because learning is a process, right? Not everyone can nail it at the first go. Some can, very few can, but most of us, it takes time. We make mistakes, and it takes time, and so these things can creep in. A doubt can creep, and that's where a mentor again can, apply to that and share their experience, their mistake, and their journey, to reassure students about the progress, right? Like, charting that out, like step by step, how you go, how you can achieve one thing at a time, and then moving. So this close relationship between a mentor and kids can be a source of their confidence. So what mentors do is basically they understand the student's aspiration and especially their fears, right? And they support them by acting as an advocate for their best interests. And that's how the confidence, the self-confidence creep comes in, and it moves on. And as you go, it just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So when they start believing in themselves in the same way that mentor does, you you can see that and you will understand that it was worth it. So these are like some of the points on which I believe mentorship can be important for kids today, and like they can create an impact for them. So any like questions or comments on this, or you feel I missed out on something? Like, there are, of course, there are a lot of reasons on which mentorship can impact a kid. These are some that from my experience that I saw, and what we felt that the prime factors in which it can help people who are either inclined or not inclined towards mentorship for their kids make that decision. So if you guys feel that there's something more impactful or something that you feel that could have been added, please, or is there any questions on this?
Uh, so a mentee's goal could be to gain that skill or knowledge, but the mentor has a bigger goal of taking that mentee towards a journey where he reaches the goal. So the mentor's role is to know the mentee and have those skills to help him take that journey. So that's and the mentor should be able to make the mentee think and curate his own journey. So where do you stop? Like, you give the fundamentals, but you want to enrich, empower the mentee to do his own journey. So you give the fundas and support, and how do you curate it in such a way that he thinks uh, he gets the skill of learning to learn and does his journey. So where do you stop as a mentor? Like, instead of detailing it out, how do you just empower the mentee?
That's a that's a very good question. So I believe that again depends on both the mentee and like I it depends on the mentee. So certain people can grasp very quickly, and you can just put it out there and just tell them to read out and can provide all this. But certain individuals need more nurturing and more care. So I believe so that again depends on who the mentee is, how. So that's the first step of mentorship, like understanding the mentee, understanding the person in front of you, and applying according to that. So I believe the stoppage will depend on that factor, because uh, like again that will impact the mentor as well. So if there is something that requires an extra effort, the mentor has to go and sharpen their own skills and bring in more resources for them. So I cannot say how. It depends on the situation, depends on the mentee, and the willingness of both of them to learn and execute what the requirement is. If it's thing on an application, execute that. So I believe it will depend on that.
Thanks. Both my sons do their PhD, but they have excellent mentors.
Oh, amazing.
They got demotivated. Then mentors, they just guided them, and that was a huge support for them to be in that journey. So it's
Yeah.
a huge role. I just wanted to know how much of the mentee's pressure is yours, something like that. Yeah.
Like that again depends on why the mentor is if the motivation is there, they can go to any length to help the mentee. So that again depends on why the mentor is a mentor. So I'm glad that they found an amazing mentor to do. Like that's really awesome. Yes, someone Subbalakshmi has raised her hand.
From what I heard from you, I feel that
Yeah.
the mentor, as a mentor, he or she should uh, equip himself or herself very well before they take up the mentorship, right?
Yes, definitely. But like it again, like what I was answering, it depends on what is the seek of mentorship. So let's say if it's to develop an interest or maybe just building things, then a mentor with less experience, someone on a peer mentoring we call, can be better equipped to encourage the kids. But yeah, if it's a longer picture where you're all inclined and there is an execution like maybe 3-4 years down the line, then definitely they need to be equipped and knowledgeable and learning in the process, not stopping, just coming up, learning together and building on that.
And they are supposed to, the mentor is supposed to have at least a general idea about most of the things which the kid would may uh, opt for and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, in general, they need to have an idea, but it's not a necessity. Like I said, they have this network of connection, most of them, where if it's a particular skill or a domain, they can bring in someone to assist them. So yes, a general perspective will be required, and that happens
Yeah.
with the experience. More and more mentoring you do, more and more kids you work with. But yeah, it's not a necessity; it's a learning thing.
Thank
But
you.
yes, you're correct. All right.
Yes.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
Padma.
Hi, ma'am.
Yeah. See, I have this. When you're trying to mentor, especially adolescent kids,
Yeah,
uh, it's very difficult to build their trust in you.
yeah,
I mean, how do you get them to actually think that you are working to their benefit, and how do you get them to open up? It's so difficult. I mean, with younger children it's all right, but 13-14-year-olds, they just clam shut, and it's not I mean, although you are wanting to work towards their welfare, it's how do we, I mean, yes, parents,
yeah.
I think you know the background, so you are able to this thing. But if you're out there trying to talk to kids, and you know that what you are going to convey to them will help them, but how do you get
Yeah.
that across to them? That is, they need to build they need to build a trust before we can build their confidence, right?
Correct. Exactly. You pointed out correct.
Trust in you, because that's where I think lots of kids now um, are finding it very difficult to sit back and, yeah, this is the person I can trust. Kind. How do you get them? How do you build trust? I mean, I of course I know that's a very individually approach, but yet sometimes you find that with some of the children you are able to build a rapport immediately, but the ones who need, the ones who actually need support, it's very difficult to get them to loosen up.
Yeah, exactly. The last point you said is very relatable. People are motivated; they will just tuck,
Yeah,
get the mentor.
they will get into you,
Yeah,
and they will come to you with their queries, and they will
correct.
everything okay. But the ones who need you a lot, I mean,
Yeah,
they warm up to you, and then suddenly again it clam shut, and then you don't know what's going on. You're in the dark.
no, I get that. It's a challenge. It's a time-taking process. So the first step, like you correctly pointed out, is building the trust. But still, it can go haywire. What we have seen working is, like from my experience or small experience, I'm saying, more these college students or the adolescents, they listen to someone they consider as a peer.
Yeah.
Uh, something like a 3 to 4 years of gap of experience is what gap of age we have seen. Like who are around 20, 21, who just starting their career or starting something, they tend to listen to them more, is what we have observed. And it has, like, it's not 100% thing, but at least 60 to 70% of them we have seen doing that. So that can be one way. But the other challenge, I do understand. I think I was also like that in my adolescence. So it is, it is a challenge. It takes trust. So initially, before getting to the mentoring, I believe you had to spend some time building that trust, both on a majorly on a personal level, so that they can relate to you. At least when they can relate to you, that trust can happen. Because, like I was saying, the higher you go up the age bracket, the harder it is, and they see things where they can relate to you. Kids know that they know nothing and they have to learn a lot of things. But as you grow, you keep
as you grow there, the baggage starts developing.
exactly.
They think, yes, that's one thing. And also I have this with the socio-economic background of children who are
Okay.
to break their to build trust to them is very difficult. Especially I'm dealing with children who are let me say urban slum children. I mean, not exactly slum, but so the lower income this thing,
Lower
but
category people.
but these children, and some of them are really very smart, but you are unable to get them to say that, okay, this is what you must do. Don't get carried away by any other distractions. Of course, very difficult to say how to. So their background also, we have to study their where they come, and like you say, I think it should be, the age gap should not be much. It should be some their maybe 2-3 years, or somebody who in their mind is has achieved something in life, right? I mean, so I think
correct, exactly. That also is a big factor, that this person has achieved something that I'm trying to achieve.
Yeah. So I think we have to get. So we have actually started doing that. From the school that I'm involved in, to get the 10th graders who have just passed from the examination, passed with good marks. I mean, them coming to mentor the.
Someone from that background has come out, and like, I think that can also be a very helpful thing. So,
but very nicely you have outlined what a mentor must do, because I also always had. I mean, this very ultimately, as teachers, what happens is you try to go into mentoring, but then you ultimately end up coaching.
That is
because you want them to do well also, so you immediately, because having been a teacher, you just get on to coaching, and the mentoring is lost. And that's where you lose the trust of the child also. Because the moment you enter coaching, they say it is studies. I don't want to do anything with it.
Exactly. It's true. That's true. And I think I want to congratulate you guys. Are doing a commendable job. If there's something that I can help with, I mean, later, please do help. I mean, you can approach me. And all the best for. I guess I hope you achieve what you're seeking.
I mean, but I like the way you have done your presentation. I mean, now it's quite now getting in my head that's what a mentor should be. So I must not get into coaching. So I must pull myself away when I'm trying to do that and get into. Now I understand. I mean, that's the way I can build trust. I must not get into the nitty-gritty of coaching. I mean, that's the teacher's job, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I must not take over what the teacher is trying to do. I must just try to build on their strength, the children's strengths. Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. That was very enlightening.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So there is a wonderful. So I enjoyed that questions and discussions. So I was hoping for that. Thank you. Thank you so much. So I'll move on to the next topic. I'm almost at the end of my time. So I'll touch upon the next agenda, which is equally important as emphasizing on why mentorship is important. So finding a mentor is like it's a challenge, and it is equally tasking for the parent and the guardian or whoever is finding the mentor for the child. So let me just first just establish, like, let's say who's a mentor, like uh, 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 people were asking me who can be a mentor. So when I say mentor, when we see who's a mentor, what we judge and what you guys can also try to find out is basically the intent. Why does the mentor want to become the mentor? So it all depends on the intent, because once the intent is there, the intent of sharing the knowledge, the intent of taking the time out and willing to listen, rest all is a learning process. Even the mentor knows they'll make mistakes, certain things to a particular person might not apply, and they will learn. But once the intent is there, it's all established. And that's all that matters, according to me at least, where a mentor is coming in from. Other things, can just happen. Like, so just to quote an example, just like I'm saying, one of the mentors in my life, he is 2 years younger to me, but I don't see him that way. I, most of the problems or most of the challenges I have, I go to him, I ask him, like, what is this? What do you feel? And I know that he has the intent to help me. So I don't think like, is he more experienced than me or not? So that's who a mentor is. Okay. So you have to always see what is the intent. You can ask them. I'll touch upon that in the next part where I focus on why mentoring can be beneficial. But once so that can be a factor in determining the who a mentor is. So before you like start the process of finding a mentor, I would like to stress upon the point that you need to understand why you need to seek a mentor. Like, okay, there are factors that I covered. Definitely, that can be some of the factors which is pushing you to find a mentor for the child. But those are very few factors. Like, let's say you have identified the talent of the of your child, and like you put him into a piano lesson or something that you are already helping them nurture their skills. So that factor is removed. So my point being that you have to understand what is driving you. So maybe, like, you've moved to a new locality, which was a challenge for me growing up. Like, my father used to get transferred every 3 years, so I grew up in almost 3 to 4 schools. So I can understand that that can be a challenging for a child. So that can be a factor where a mentor can come in who's in the local presence and help the child. Or you've shifted them to a new school. Do they require some academic or career counseling? So when you identify or understand why the child needs a mentor, that particular factor that can assist your search for the best fit. It's not like you have to understand the concrete purpose. A vague or an idea about the thing is also fine. you know. So this the mentor can take in and do their part. So let's say you've established that. So what I feel, there are two ways in which you can find a mentor. Okay, if I have to put it in brackets, there are two ways. One, there are a lot of like nowadays, post the lockdown, there are a lot of platforms which are mentoring. There's happening. There are mentoring organizations, mentoring bodies. There are edtechs and a lot of these organizations where they have put mentoring as a part of them. So that is one place where you can find a mentor. Or the second is you can find a mentor on yourself. Okay? So I'll elaborate those points. So let's say there are a lot of mentoring organizations. QFIS is a mentoring platform. So what these platforms, especially what we do, is they are basically required to definitely do a background check on all of the mentors. So there has to be a rigid onboarding process where they identify a mentor. So you, when you're approaching the organization, make sure that you research about the onboarding process on how they bring a mentor, how they identify a mentor. If you can't find it, do arrange an interview or a call with them and try to understand this. This will help you in making the right choice with an organization. Take a look at the profile of the website or that platform. Take a look at the profile of all the mentors. So nowadays, the norm is to display as much information as possible in the website. So mostly you will get to know a lot about the profile, the mentors and the platform through their website. But in case, again, if you're not able to find, make sure that you arrange a call, discuss with the people who are part of that organization or the platform, and understand who the mentors are and what they do, what is their goal, what is their like their vision and everything. This is very important. So one of the advantages of an organization, if you see over finding a mentor yourself, is that they will have a tried and tested method of mentoring. They will have a structure which is like improved upon. A good platform, I would say, not that something that has started, but a good platform will definitely have the lot of. They might have done a lot of iterations and build a program around that. So it can be a kind of an advantage factor in choosing an organization. So, and the other thing is that because of this program that they will have in place, they will be able to match the child with the best mentor that they feel, and it can work. So, as at QFA, like just giving an example, 70 to 80% of the time we have had success in the matches that we have done. It can, I don't know if it's a good number or a bad number, but that's the honest number. 70%, I believe, is the honest number that we have. So that can work. So that is what the organizations bring in place. So make sure when you approach an organization, you do the research, because as a parent, again, as a guardian, it is up to you to make sure that you have done everything in place before you go in, and then talk to them, have a conversation, don't hesitate. Organizations who are committed towards delivery will take their time out in explaining everything. And if they suggest a mentor, maybe the first conversation you can have with the mentor yourself, as you can have the conversation and establish that. So that's one part of how you find a mentor. Second part is finding someone yourself. Though I should be biased towards an organization, but I feel the first step that every parent should do is try to find, or see if a mentor can be someone in who's already part of the kids or the child's life, because that can be more helpful for the child to trust the process or start the process. it, you can consider adults who have already, they have an influence in the life of the child. So some of the examples can be like a teacher who gets along with the child, a college student or a youth in your own community, an older relative who listens, the listening skill, and also is trusted by the child. That's a very important factor. Trust. A family friend who is interested in spending time with the child, or even a coach in the school or someone from your community who has regularly encouraged your child to work hard and reach their potential. So these are some of the people you can look at in when you've established why the kid needs mentoring, where you can look into and tap into. So let's say if you decide to ask a friend or a family member, one of the things that you have to make sure is that you know them very well and you have known them for a long time. I don't need to say about the things that you hear these days. So that's why you need to be extra careful. trust is the key here, both yours and especially the child's. Make sure it's someone, like I've read this statement, which I really like. Make sure it's someone you have chosen and not someone who has chosen you. Right? So let's say in this network or in this circle, you're not able to find someone who you feel can be a mentor. Don't hesitate to ask. You can ask a family friend, you can ask your own family to refer someone. They might know someone who has the required skills or the experience. Or you can ask someone, definitely you can ask someone who has, has opted mentoring before and they have done something. So they will also be able to guide you. And when you do that, when you're asking around, when you are, approaching people, one thing I would strongly recommend is talk openly about the expectations. In India, like again, I know these are some of the practices and some of the things that you're trained to do. We are always instructed to keep everything hush, hush, hush. Like if there's something that you want to do or something that you're trying to do, keep it to a very minute cycle. That's what. But the younger generation now they're crazy. They don't stop at that. But like as an adult, you also should be very open about your expectations for your child. That's a fundamental key in understanding and identifying the right mentor. And once you've done that, like even if you've done through an organization or through yourself, uh, you got to pace that process. So maybe you can start with a small time commitment. Let's say maybe you can tell like let's try it for a couple of weeks, the mentoring between the child and the mentor, and you have to allow that relationship to develop naturally. You should never force, like ma'am was saying now, that that's what coaching is, right? You're forcing them to do something. That's not what it should be. Mentoring should develop naturally, and that is what mentoring should be. So let's say that you have identified the mentor. Like I want to touch upon the entire process so that everything is there, not just that you have identified your mentor and that's done. No, that's just the start of the process. So a couple of things that you have to do is you have to establish some ground rules. Again, like I was saying, that a lot of things happening these days, so you need to be careful where you're trusting someone. So have the initial few sessions in your presence. Don't be part of the conversation. Be around the conversation. See how the child is responding to the mentor and also how the mentor is responding to the child. Some of the other things that you can keep in your mind is like, certain questions like, do you want the children to be connected on social media with the mentor? Nowadays, by 9th or 10th, kids are in Instagram and they have their email and everything. Are you comfortable with that? When and how should the mentor contact the child? If there is a scheduling conflict, how do you solve that? And then if there are some guidelines or rules that apply to you as a community, as a religion, or any other factor, make sure that it is communicated and established with the mentor well before. So this ground rule should be put before you start the mentor. Now, once you start, you gotta give it your time. You have to consider, you have to have this in your mind as well, how you're going to help your child's relationship with the mentor. Like I was saying, you have to talk openly about your expectations. Similarly, you have to talk to your child about the relationship too. You have to talk to them openly. You have to be open about them, about the relation to them. They might need your reassurance that relations and trust take the time to develop. Again, don't force anything. Keep in mind that this is supposed to be fun. Mentoring is supposed to be fun. It is supposed to ease everything, and that can only happen if they don't feel the pressure that they should confide everything in the mentor right away, and or become friends with the mentor right away. Give it time. Let them nurture that. Let the trust, again, like I was saying, let the trust build and let it happen naturally. And that's how mentoring is. It takes its time, especially at that young age. Trust has to come naturally. Trust is the key, and it has to be established. So this is how, like the steps that I feel like before, the pre-context of finding a mentor, and then post context of finding the mentor, how it has to be done. So that's what I would like to cover as part of this topic. Now, moving on to the final part of this, like let's say that we have identified or the mentoring and everything has done. I think I've crossed my time, so I'll keep this part very quick. So understanding, like I was saying, understanding the intent of what the mentor's motivation is, why they are being a mentor is very important. You should not block yourself from that part of it, because that will help you in also explaining it to the child, also building that trust with the mentor yourself. Because once the intent or once the motivation is understood, you know that the mentor will not give up, and mentor, the multiple factors that help you will be there. So understanding the motivation of a mentor is fundamental. So that's what I wanted to cover. The other part of why I wanted to cover this topic is, so if uh, if one of these factors can motivate you to become a mentor, that would be amazing. So the first one is like what I feel the most important factor in why a mentor is motivated. It is purely giving back. Most of the mentors that I have personally and we have as part of QFIS, we have seen is that they purely and like they just say that they want to give back, and they work on a pro bono basis, because the satisfaction of giving back is immeasurable. There is no there's nothing to say in that fact. Like just to apply it to my own context. So when we started when we were just in our nascent stage, there was an organization, there were a couple of founders that approached me through LinkedIn, and they were starting to build a platform, a mentoring platform for chartered accountants. And they wanted to have a conversation. I don't know how they found me, but they wanted to have a conversation. So, like, I believe in what I say. So when I say talk openly, I do that. So I had, I think, 2 to 3 conversations with them. I told them everything, and now they are one of the most established, platforms in the mentoring platforms in the chartered accountant space. I'm a very small part of that process. I'm not nothing. It's not that I contributed, but I told them openly about a lot of things initially when they were starting, and they skipped a certain things like the mistakes that we did, and it helped them. And when I see that, I think they've gone beyond what QFIS is right now, and I feel so happy when I see. I keep following them on social media. They keep updating me every now and then. I'm really happy, and still there's some mentor that I can recommend, and I can help. I do that to them, because that's what is mentoring. Giving back. That satisfaction I cannot put in words. So that is what I feel can, one of the most important reasons of someone being a mentor. Other things are like, something that you develop. Okay, so I'll like touch upon them one by one. But like I said, I think I've crossed the time. So the communication skills will definitely improve, because what mentoring does is you are getting the opportunity to practice, and you're taking your internal knowledge and verbally communicating it with someone. That'll definitely help improving your communication skills. And leadership skills is definitely something that is part of this, because leaders know how to establish positive and trusted relationships. So when you work with a mentee, you provide it provides an opportunity to practice those necessary skills, and including empathy and active listening, which these days, like, you keep hearing that managers don't listen to me, so that this leadership skills like listening and everything can be developed through mentoring. And other important fact is like definitely self-reflection, because when you start revisiting some of your journey, some of your failures, you may recognize that you were doing some of those mistakes now also, and you can correct them. So that can also help you. And perspective, again and again, like I was focusing upon, it will definitely help you to gain a new perspective, because mentees also are bringing in. Every mentee is a unique. They are from a different background, maybe from a different generation. So they are bringing in their perspective to a problem or a challenge, and and that will help you gain that aspect of mentoring as well. Sorry, that will help them gain that aspect of that uh, that problem or the challenge as well. So these are some of the factors that motivate that I've seen motivating mentors and others who are in this field. So but I would like to say, so that satisfaction, the giving back satisfaction is the fundamental reason. And I believe if you want to be a mentor, like if that is there in your intent, I think you can be an amazing mentor. So I'm sorry I overshot my time. I'd like to conclude with this and open up for any questions or anything that are pending.
Ayesha Shabnam has a lot of questions in the chat box.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
These are the questions what our registered people wanted to, ask Siddharth sir. So, sir, these are the questions
Yeah.
here. So you can just give them the answers. Yeah.
Sure. There can be many mentors in a child's life, like parents and teachers. Yeah, definitely. Like I was saying, the best way to look at a mentor is finding them yourself, and approaching the people who are already part of the kid's life. So parents can be a mentor for sure. I believe in all of our lives, parents are our first mentors. So teachers can also be teachers who are willing to who are familiar with the kid, and the kids also love them. Definitely, yeah, they can be. I do not understand the second question. I'm sorry. Classes to be more interactive. Uh, Mentoring will be technical, behavioral, or skill based. That I guess depends on like I was saying, it depends on what the requirement or what the need of the mentee is. So it can be technical, for developing a particular skill, or it can be a general mentoring to push them towards a career, or helping them in certain things. So it can be a personal aspect as well. Why do you think we need them? I believe you're referring to the mentors, so I think I've covered that. Role of a mentor also I've covered. Who, according to you, would be a student? I think all of us are students. Lifelong, you're learning, so all of us should be students. So I don't know how that applies to this topic. So I guess yeah, you're students all of life. Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any other question or anything? All right. Okay. Sorry.
Thanks a lot, Siddharth. Thanks a lot. Just now I know that my mentors are like you look up to, and probably a friend, and also they don't have to have all the knowledge. They can just resourceful and give you the corrections. The best part I really like, but it's an organic relationship between the mentor, the mentee. It's not forced, just organically it happens. That's beautiful. Those were my insights. Just loved the session.
Yes, Mr.
Thank you.
Siddharth, I have a small clarification.
Yes.
I am
Please.
basically a counselor, emotional counselor.
Okay, great.
When I take up any counseling, first thing I will clear to my client is that the aspect of confidentiality. That whatever we speak between ourselves is going to be within the four walls, or without his or her permission, it will not be revealed to anyone.
Correct.
So, should we use the same thing in mentoring also to gain the confidence of the mentee?
Yeah, I believe that should be there because we do that as well. Though we record our sessions, but as soon as the sessions start, we move out of the conversation. Because same what you said, it can help them build their trust and they can be more open. You bring in a third person, they can start thinking like, who's this person? Will they share my, the what I'm sharing? And everything.
Correct.
So I think, yeah, it can be. It should be actually. That's what we do. So
Okay.
it should.
Okay.
But in the children's case, like I was saying initially, at least I would recommend that the parents or the guardian be there because it's like at that age they are not the right people to take the decision.
Yeah. Correct.
So, but yeah, but adolescents and everyone, I believe, yeah,
Okay.
it can be a two conversation. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Right. Thank you so much, team. And again, I'm sorry I overshot the time and rushed through the last agenda. So thank you so much for providing me this opportunity. This was my first ever webinar, and I hope if at least one person I have been able to impact, I would be very glad. And any criticism, creative criticism, any feedback, uh, I'm open to it, and I would look to improve myself. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Have a great life. Take care. Stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Siddharth sir, for giving us your time. We really appreciate. Thank you so much. Thank you, audience.
Thank you. Thank you, Aisha. Thank you for being patient with me.
Thank you. Yeah.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye, sir.